it's such a pleasure to talk to you about this film. First of all, congratulations on a great, great performance.
Thank you.
I saw it with no expectations yesterday, and I think the tone of the film is just quite right. Did it feel like that from the beginning, that you were kind of doing a real schizophrenic type of tone?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to make a movie that is, you know, dramatic, but also has a real dark sense of humor to it as well. And I think the director, Todd, did a really good job at managing that.
No, absolutely. You didn't have direct access to Ephraim as, you know, a real-life character, but how much did that allow your imagination to run wild and create your own character?
Well, you know, I've had experiences where I've met the person I'm playing. I've had experiences where I've never met them. What's interesting is I'd always prefer to meet them. But I think you end up learning more about somebody by talking to people who knew them, because I think people, when they know someone's playing them in a movie, they might give an impression of themselves that they want you to have, whereas other people sort of speak more frankly about somebody.
And what was mostly the biggest inspiration for you, like knowing all the facts of the story and kind of knowing a little bit about the character?
To play a character that, you know, is deceitful and manipulative, but by all accounts very charming and enjoyable to be around. And I think that was like a kind of interesting challenge.
Yeah, quite charismatic as well.
Right.
Talking about that and the chemistry you had with Miles as David, how much did you guys work on that, and how much was it there from the beginning? How much did you enjoy working with Miles?
Miles is a great actor, and you know, we cast him in the movie like right as Whiplash had come out and done really well, and you know, he's great in it. And I think it's really interesting to work with an actor at a point in time where, you know, they're emerging as someone to pay attention to. And Miles, you know, is definitely in that scenario right now. I think he was unbelievable in Whiplash. He's really great in this film, and you know, it was really interesting.
Todd was talking about loving to shoot on location. So how much did you enjoy that, being in Jordan, being in Morocco?
I didn't enjoy it as much as Todd. I don't think he really. I think that's
he likes the expedition. I think.
Yeah, I think it's kind of sweet. You know, it's like one of his favorite parts of directing. I think is going to a whole new country, a whole new territory. I think it's really good for the movie that we did that, but in the moment you're just kind of like tired, and that's kind of and out of your element, and that's what they were going through, you know. So it was definitely beneficial in the end.
Sometimes, you know, you hear about that story and it's all so unbelievable that it's true. Was that the main appeal for you in that project, because it's such a surreal story yet a true one?
Yeah, I think that was my biggest, you know, incentive to do the film, was that the story is so insane that if it, you know, that if it were fictional, you wouldn't believe it. It had to actually happen for you to believe that this would even go down.
Is that what makes projects appealing for you as well? Is it more character-based, because this is such a strong character, or is it more the whole story? What motivates you mostly? Obviously, this was a project written for you.
It's everything, you know. It's the director, it's the character, and it's the story. But you know, sometimes you don't get all three. In this one, I was lucky to get all three.
True. Were you ever a Scarface fan?
Yeah, I like Scarface. I mean, it's sort of in the permanent lexicon of like cult films. I think, you know. I think it's definitely in the American lexicon of film. You know, Brian De Palma's one of my favorite directors. There's a great documentary that just came out about him. But yeah, it's not like the most unbelievable movie ever made, but it was more a comment of it's a really good film. It's really a comment of like, at this point in time, if you watched any like MTV Cribs or anything, and you went to any rapper's house or flashy person, they would have a framed Scarface poster in their house always. So I think it was more about what that movie means to characters like this and what it represents, and they idolize it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And how you get inspired by things in life that are random, I guess.
Yeah.
Not met Frame, but were there people giving you more information about him?
Yeah, it was great to meet David, the guy that Miles was playing, because, you know, it's great to hear what someone else has to say about somebody, because a lot of times I know if someone's asking about me, I'd probably give them a version of myself that I want them to have, you know? And if you ask people's friends and people that knew them well, then, you know, they'll probably give you a more accurate depiction of what the person was like.
Yeah, exactly. Especially that he seemed to be liking to act the part of someone else. So.
Yes, definitely.
No, absolutely. Do you remember the turning point in your life where you wanted to become an actor, where you realized that it was something for you?
Yeah, I think, you know, I was 18 and I was in school for writing and directing, and I took an acting class to sort of learn how to speak to actors and what I would like to hear, and then I got a lot of positive feedback, and then I just kind of kept going. And then now I'm finally making my first movie as a writer-director, so it's an interesting, it's been an interesting journey, to say the least.
Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, it's a very boring, short pitch. It's not like some crazy sci-fi thing or something. It's a very, you know, emotion-based coming-of-age story that takes place in the skateboarding scene in Los Angeles in the mid-1990s.
Passion project?
Yes, I would say so, definitely, yeah.
And how important is the company you keep? Obviously, we're talking about, you know, several films you've been in. You've acted with, you know, the Leos and Brads and Miles in this one. How important is it that acting becomes, you know, kind of a game of sport, in the sense that you're better when someone else is better as well?
I think, yeah, you're only as good as the people that are on your team, you know. And so I prefer, you know, like in you know, certain scenarios like Wolf of Wall Street or something, or Moneyball, I prefer to be the worst player on the team and learn from the better players, you know?
I don't think you were the worst player at all in those films. Those performances are great. And this one too, and, you know, talking about the nominations that you got for those roles, how much does it change a little bit the core of your career when you are nominated for an Oscar, when, you know, your career is kind of recognized that way?
I mean, it's really touching, I guess. It's really, like, nice. It's a really, like, I'm grateful for it. And I think it puts you in front of and makes you, like, certain directors more aware of your work, you know? So, like, you know, like Quentin Tarantino or the Coen brothers, like, people that called me after both of those experiences, they weren't calling me before. I don't know if it has to do with that in any way, you know, or maybe they just liked those films or something. But I don't know. It just it definitely gets, you know, it definitely gets you some other opportunities maybe that weren't there before.
What kind of movies do you like to watch as just an audience member?
All kinds. I really I watch a lot of documentaries as far as new movies. There's not tons of new movies that aren't independent films that that I watch. I love 70s films, you know, and then I love a lot of the 90s directors, auteur directors like David O. Russell or Paul Thomas Anderson or Spike Jonze, Bennett Miller, people like that. Yeah,
people with a very strong vision and their own tone in films. I think that's
and kind of going against what's popular and kind of dumb at the time. You know, what I like about War Dogs a lot, honestly, is that we're a movie coming out in the summer, put out by Warner Brothers, that isn't a superhero film. It's an original, true story, you know. And Todd, I think, is one of the only directors with enough power, because he made all the Hangover movies and stuff, that could make this movie on this scale and not have it be an independent film, have it be a major studio release with a real budget and stuff like that.